Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I will never forget the moment my life cracked open. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening when my mother set down her teacup with a decisive clink and said, "Chelsea, you have 72 hours to pack your things and leave." At first, I laughed. I thought it was some twisted attempt at humor. But when I looked into her eyes, cold, unblinking, I realized she meant every word. "Leave?" My voice cracked. "This is my home." Father interrupted, his tone distant, almost rehearsed. "It's Thomas's house now. He'll be moving back from Miami, and we need it ready for him. You'll understand." Understand? My throat burned. I had worked 2 jobs, year after year, funneling every spare dollar into this roof. $97,000 I had poured into this place, sacrificing vacations, friendships, even my health, to keep my parents from drowning when the bank threatened foreclosure. "You're giving it to Thomas?" I whispered, my hands trembling. "He hasn't set foot here in years. He didn't pay a single bill." Mother's lips curled into something sharp. "He's our son too. And he has a future. You'll manage, you always do." I wanted to scream, to throw every receipt and repair invoice in their faces. Instead, I felt hot tears sliding down my cheeks. My gaze swept the room. The patched walls I had painted, the couch I had bought secondhand, the washer I hauled upstairs alone. Every corner of this house bore the mark of my sacrifice, and yet none of it mattered to them. Thomas, the golden boy. While I dug trenches in the soil of responsibility, he sipped cocktails under Miami's neon lights. And now he would inherit the fruit of my labor, wrapped with a bow by the very people I had saved. 72 hours, Mother repeated coldly. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." Harder? My chest tightened as though the walls themselves had turned against me. I walked upstairs in silence, each step heavier than the last. In my room, I collapsed on the bed and let the sobs escape. It wasn't just the house they were taking, it was every ounce of love I thought we shared. And in that moment, grief curdled into something sharper, resolve. Sleep never came at night. Instead, memories were played in merciless loops. Nights I worked until dawn drafting landscape plans. Weekends I skipped meals to cover utility bills. Mornings I scraped ice off the roof before leaving for work. Every sacrifice had been for them, my parents, for this home. By sunrise, my eyes were swollen from crying, yet I forced myself to gather the folders where I kept receipts and bank statements. Pages upon pages told the story of my devotion. $97,000 in mortgage payments, thousands more in repairs, new pipes, a furnace, even the roof tiles I carried one by one up the ladder when no one else cared. As I sat at the kitchen table, my father entered, adjusting his tie. He glanced at the papers but didn't meet my eyes. "Dad," I whispered, my voice trembling, "why didn't you ever tell me none of this mattered? Why let me bleed myself dry if you planned to hand it all to Thomas?" For a moment, I thought I saw shame flicker across his face. But then he straightened. "You're strong, Chelsea. Thomas isn't. He needs this house more than you." The words cut deeper than any knife. I bit my lip to stop the sob clawing up my throat. Strong? Was I being punished for carrying them when they fell? Later, I overheard my mother on the phone. Her voice was bright, almost giddy. "Yes, Thomas. Everything will be ready. The house is yours now. She'll be gone by the weekend." The house is yours. I clutched the doorframe, my vision blurring. In that instant, something broke inside me. My sacrifices had not been unseen. They had been exploited, twisted into a weapon to discard me. When my phone buzzed, it was Hunter, my old college friend and now a lawyer. I almost didn't answer, but when his steady voice said, "Chelsea, tell me what's going on," I crumbled, spilling everything. And for the first time, a spark of hope stirred in the ashes of betrayal. Hunter didn't waste time. By the next afternoon, we sat across from each other at his office, papers spread between us like evidence at a trial. His brows knitted as he scanned the documents I collected. "You kept everything?" he asked, lifting a receipt. "I had to," I said, my voice unsteady. "I thought, maybe one day, they'd finally see what I'd done for them, that they'd thank me." My throat tightened, but instead they threw me out like trash. Hunter's gaze softened, but he slid another folder toward me. "Chelsea, I pulled property records. Something doesn't add up." According to the county files, the house was never fully in your parents' names. It was transferred to them only temporarily, through your grandmother's estate. I froze. My grandmother? He nodded. And here's the shocking part. There's a will. I managed to request a copy from probate court. Your grandmother left the house, entirely to you. The words hit me like a tidal wave. My heart thundered, my breath shallow. To me, tears blurred the page as I read the faded ink. To my granddaughter, Chelsea, whose kindness and dedication mirror my own, I leave the family home to be her sanctuary. My sanctuary, not theirs, not Thomas's, mine. I pressed a hand to my mouth, a sob escaping. They knew, I whispered. They must have known. And they still. My voice broke under the weight of betrayal. Hunter leaned closer, his tone firm. They concealed it because they assumed you'd never find out. But you have the law on your side now. This isn't over, Chelsea. Not by a long shot. For the first time in days, a flicker of strength warmed my chest. The house that had been the stage of my heartbreak was, in truth, my inheritance, my grandmother's final gift. And now I swore silently through clenched teeth. I would not let them steal it from me. 2 days later, I returned to the house with boxes and Hunter's legal packet tucked under my arm. My parents barely looked at me as I began unplugging the television I had bought. I stacked dishes I had paid for, folded linens, and rolled up the rug I'd chosen for the living room. Each item felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. The front door swung open. Thomas stood there, tan from Miami sun, sunglasses perched on his head. He dropped his duffel bag and smirked. Wow, didn't think you'd actually leave it furnished. Guess you're not that bitter after all. I straightened, my hands still gripping the box. These are mine, Thomas. Every couch, every appliance, paid for by me. Not you. Not them. He scoffed. Come on, Chelsea. You really want to nickel and dime family? This house is mine now. Don't embarrass yourself. Something inside me snapped. My voice shook, but it carried a force I hadn't felt before. Yours? You never lifted a finger for this place. You were gone, living it up, while I broke my back to keep our parents afloat. And you call me embarrassing. For the first time, his smirk faltered. Mom and Dad said. Mom and Dad lied. I cut in, pulling the will from my bag. I slammed it onto the table. Read it. Grandma left the house to me. Not to them. Not to you. Silence hung heavy. My father looked away. My mother's lips pressed thin. Thomas scanned the paper, his face paling. You're bluffing, he muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. Tears stung my eyes, but they were no longer from despair. They burned with vindication. No, Thomas. I'm finally telling the truth. This ends today. And for the first time, it was he who stood speechless, not me. The courtroom was small, almost plain, but to me it felt like the stage where my life would finally be decided. Hunter's voice was steady as he laid out the will, the receipts, the years of sacrifice. My parents sat rigid, Thomas restless in his chair. When the judge's words came, the will is valid. The property belongs solely to Chelsea. A hush fell over the room. My mother's face drained of color, my father stared at the floor, and Thomas muttered a curse under his breath. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. Later, as I carried the last of my belongings out, Thomas appeared in the doorway. You ruined everything, he spat. No, I said softly, meeting his eyes. I saved myself. The house was sold weeks later, the profits secured in my name. They were stripped of control, left to face the hollow echoes of their choices. And me? I signed the lease on a sunlit apartment across town. I bought plants for the balcony, painted the walls my favorite shade of green, and for the first time the air felt mine to breathe. My parents, my brother, they became shadows in my story. Necessary shadows, perhaps, so I could step fully into my own light. And as I sit in my sanctuary, I whisper a quiet thank you to Grandma. She left me a house, yes, but more than that, she left me the chance to find myself.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.